Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Dixon. I'm the Executive Director of the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce, and we are very excited to continue our conversation on technology's impact on minority businesses. Today, we're going to talk about the cybersecurity maturity model certification and what you need to know for government contracting at federal, state, and local levels. We have a great panel of speakers today, and I'm going to turn things over to my co-host, Caprice Ayers. She is the CEO and president of JuneGem Technologies.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. As Sheila said, I am the CEO of JuneGem Technologies, an IT professional services firm in Prince George's County, Maryland. We specialize in ERP consulting, IT resource placement, and cybersecurity health assessment. Today, before we get started, we're going to have a few words from a special guest, Ms. Drusilla Key. She's going to speak to us for a few minutes on behalf of CDP and Associates, and then we'll have a few words from our sponsors.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. My name is Drusilla Key. I am the CEO of CDP and Associates. And this morning I am standing in on behalf of Mr. Paul Davis, our Managing Director. He sends his greetings to you today. And I'm very excited about our panelists discussing cybersecurity security model, because it is going to impact, always think about how it's going to impact your organizational goals, your management objectives, your organizational roles and responsibilities, and most important, your information security measures. So on behalf of Mr. Paul Davis, thank you very much and enjoy the panel.
At this time, I would like to thank some of our sponsors for today's event. We have a few sponsors that will be queuing up the video shortly. But I want to thank Paul Davis of CDP and Associates for helping to put together our programming on our IT security series, as well as Barry Duvall, President and CEO of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Barry's organization has been helping the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce to become more acclimated in the chamber community as a whole. And we are grateful for their donation of helping us to put together today's event. We'd also like to thank the Fairfax County Economic Development Center for their support of the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning and welcome to the fourth installment of the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce and the Alliance Technology Consortium Technology Series. In today's installment, we hope to inform you about the importance of cybersecurity maturity model certification and doing business with the U.S. federal government. Without this certification, it will be impossible for you to do business with the federal government, especially the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. So again, on behalf of CDP and Associates, welcome to today's installment.
Hi, I'm Barry Duvall, President of the Virginia State Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this program and to bring you a greeting on behalf of the 26,000 members of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. You know, it's an exciting time to be in business in the Commonwealth as we come out of the pandemic and begin to recognize that technology is going to help us transcend into a new economy. The fastest growing sector of our economy is the knowledge-based economy. So I'm pleased to see your panel focusing on technology and specifically technology's impact on minority businesses. Virginia has been recognized as a leader in cybersecurity and a leader in technology across the United States. You may not know, but over 50% of the world's internet traffic passes through Virginia every day. We are a hub for technology centers and data centers, and we are a hub for cybersecurity and technology workers. I'm really pleased that the Virginia Chamber can partner with the organization sponsoring this event in order to be a part of this program. I want you to know that we are supporting a couple of initiatives that we think will help minority businesses grow and prosper. The first is money for grants to help businesses start up. We think this is an important part and should be provided in a way that will be constructive for businesses across the Commonwealth of Virginia, including our minority communities where access to capital has not always been easy. I also want to say that we think mentorship programs are important. And I want to compliment the Virginia businesses that are coming alongside small businesses throughout the Commonwealth to assist them in growing their business. I also want to recognize the organizations like the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce that we've been partnering with to advance their mission, as well as help them reach communities across the Northern Virginia area. And I also want to thank the Alliance Technology Consortium for participating in today's program as well. So in closing, thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes in your program. I hope that you find it constructive, thought-provoking, and it helps you create a brighter future for you and your business as you grow in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Have a great panel discussion.
And I'll just take one more moment to thank our sponsors, the Alliance Technology Consortium, the Virginia Chamber Foundation, CDP and Associates, and the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority.
Thanks, Sheila. So today, guys, we're going to talk about the CMMC model and federal contracting and how that really affects small businesses. And today we have three great individuals with us to help us talk through this discussion. So I would like to take a moment to introduce each of them and give them an opportunity to talk about themselves. And then we'll get started with our questions. So I would like to start by introducing Mr. Lynwood Owens, Jr. He's the president and CEO of LBO Technologies. Good morning, Lynwood.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. My name is Lynwood Owens, president and CEO of LBO Technology. We are a professional services and IT company headquartered in Leesburg, Virginia.
Thanks, Lynwood. Next up, we have Ms. Michelle Gaston. She's the founder of MVDG Services. Hi, Michelle.
Good morning, Caprice. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy to be here today. MVDG Services Limited is an advisory and consulting firm that specializes in all facets of budget and financial management. We specialize in all areas related to program management and evaluation. I also serve as a mentor in the SCORE South Carolina Lowcountry chapter, and SCORE, just to give you a little bit of background, it's a national organization that offers free mentoring services to small businesses. And in my role with the SCORE South Carolina Lowcountry chapter, I am also the chair of the Minority Outreach Initiative. And our cornerstone program is a minority small business support grant. And we actually are in the process of running a competitive program that will award grants to small businesses in 4 counties in South Carolina. So I'm very, very, very happy and proud to be involved with that initiative.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Michelle. Last but not least, we have Mr. Derrick Henry. He's the president and CEO of Almond Consulting Group. Good morning, Derrick.
Good morning. Yes, my name is Derrick Henry, president and CEO of Almond Consulting. Started in 2001, primarily consulting, but we moved into cybersecurity around 2012, sorry. So yeah, we've been doing it for a number of years, supporting the DoD and federal workspace, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Well, we're going to kick off the conversation. And I'm going to start with Michelle by asking if you can describe what is CMMC, or the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. If you can clarify for our audience what that is.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. CMMC is a framework that creates a unifying standard for the implementation of cybersecurity across the defense industrial base. And the defense industrial base is a collection of contractors who provide services to the Department of Defense. And those contractors are some of the larger companies in the world. And some of the companies included in the defense industrial base will include Raytheon's Base Systems, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and General Dynamics, just to name a few. So they are multi-billion-dollar companies. And each of these companies is charged with making sure that their processes, their systems, all of the companies that are in their supply chain actually comply with cybersecurity standards so that they're able to safeguard Department of Defense information.
Thank you. Derrick, would you like to add on to that? I'm sorry, you're muted.
Thank you. No, saying great explanation, by the way. So the framework, its basic goal is to reduce vulnerabilities in supply chain and just improve on security practices of the DIB. So, and that's, as was mentioned before, defense industrial base. So there's going to be 5 levels to CMMC. All contractors and subcontractors will need to obtain at least level 1. And that's your basic cyber hygiene. Level 2 is kind of it's a level that most people won't really stop at. You'll either be at level 1 or you'll just jump to level 3, which requires a lot more documentation and artifacts showing that you're actually implementing processes and procedures in your organization. But yeah, so most people or everyone will need to get at least level 1. Some will need to get level 3 depending on the contract, the agreement with the organization, entity, government entity that you're going after. Thank you.
Lynwood, could you share with us a little bit more about the model in itself?
The model, as Derrick said, has 5 levels. Most small businesses will need to be at least at level 1 with the objective of meeting level 3. Levels 4 and 5 are for larger defense contractors that build weapons, ships, and aircraft. So there's no need for a small business to achieve that level. Level 1 is essentially NIST, which is the National Institute for Standards and Technology, NIST 800-171 compliance. And there are right now 300,000 contractors currently in the supply chain of DoD. So it has a pretty broad effect on the industry, both small and large. And if you haven't begun the process, I would suggest you start to look at the technical requirements that are involved with becoming CMMC compliant.
With that being said, let me ask you the next question. How does this affect small businesses and minority businesses specifically?
It has a huge impact on minority-owned small businesses. Most minority-owned small businesses have less than 50 employees. So you're asking that minority-owned small business to make a significant investment into their infrastructure. They have to understand the technical requirements that are involved, the documentation that's involved, and the ability to basically move their network into a very private and secure cloud. So that investment is through consulting, or if you don't have an IT staff, then you have to find a credible body that understands the model and is able to help that minority-owned small business through this process. As we mentioned, level 1 is just basic hygiene with the objective of getting to level 3. So it has a huge impact. Hopefully there are grants available and loans available for small businesses because it is a significant financial cost.
Michelle, could you speak to us about just as a small business doing work or trying to do work with the government? How could this, exclude me, or what are the advantages, if any?
I'd like to focus on one thing that Lynwood mentioned. He said most small businesses have 50 or less employees. There are a lot of, and with an employee workforce that's small, that means that small businesses or employees in small businesses are wearing multiple hats. They don't have the luxury of having a standalone IT department. They don't have the luxury of having a standalone acquisition department. So that means that they are pretty much robbing Peter to pay Paul to pay for that third-party consultant to come in to get them ready for CMMC. There's also the issue of the relationship that the small business has got to develop with a prime contractor. I mentioned before some of the key players in the defense industrial base, the Raytheons, the Northrop Grummons, multi-billion-dollar companies. There are very, very few small businesses that are in the defense industrial base. So that means that small businesses are most likely going to be subcontractors rather than prime contractors. So that means that they have got to develop a relationship with the prime contractors before they could even receive consideration for a contract with the Department of Defense. And that relationship is critical. It's a huge cost to receive CMMC certification. And though it's true that the prime can be authorized to reimburse the sub for those costs, normally when a prime is hiring a sub or contracting with a subcontractor, they're looking at lowest cost. So that means that if the subcontractor is adding the cost for CMMC certification to his or her bid, they may very well lose the opportunity for that contract because of cost considerations. So CMMC implementation will have a huge impact on small businesses.
Derrick, anything you would like to add in terms of how it affects small businesses?
Yes, thank you. So when you're looking at the RFPs that'll be coming out in the future, a lot of them will have a requirement that the organization has a certain CMC level, whether it be level 1 or level 3. More than likely, well, you're not going to see too many of them just yet, but it could be a blending, like a portion of work may be level 1, a portion may be level 3. I think they're still trying to work that out. But overall, if you don't meet that requirement, you won't be able to bid on the work. So now you're looking at primes that are going to look at their subcontractors and cherry pick who's already certified. If you already have CMC level 1, okay, fine. You can go ahead and assist us with the bid for the work. And if you're working on it, they'll say, okay, maybe not this bid, but maybe a future one. That hurts small businesses. Those future RFPs, you'll find that requirement in section L and section M. And it's really important that small businesses, especially minority-owned small businesses, try to obtain at least a level 1 CMC certification. Over.
So would you say it's restricted to IT companies, or, does it relate to any particular small business that's doing?
Yeah, it's actually all small businesses doing, or all businesses doing work with the DoD. So small businesses, whether you're IT, logistics, doesn't matter, manufacturing. If you're doing work with the DoD, you're going to have to get a CMC, at least level 1 certification, and it's going to depend on the contract that you're going after. More than likely, as already been mentioned, if you're not a prime and you're subbing to work, which is most small businesses, you really want to have a strong relationship with your prime, with those Lockheed Martins and Raytheons, and you just want to make certain that you understand their requirements, as well as advertise yourself. You are working on CMC. At least they'll put you further along in the pipeline, and obviously once you do get CMC level 1, you'll want to let them know.
Gotcha. I guess that leads us to our third question. What do I need to do as a small business owner to really prepare?
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is just determine what your level is. And you'll do that, look at the contracts that you've been going after. Speak to the CORs or the COTARs or your primes and find out, what level they require. You kind of want to get that information early. Talk to small business offices and find out, ask them the question, hey, what level do you anticipate the companies will need to have to bid on work? And also just look at your processes. You want to start documenting your processes, everything, as far as your access control, incident response, personnel security, disaster recovery, all your processes that you have in place, you want to make certain that you have them documented. Yeah, but first you really want to start off by talking to your primes and small business offices and find out what their thoughts are. Are they looking at level 1, and figure out what your level is? Over.
Lynwood, what do you think are the top 3 things we need to do to prepare?
Well, one of the things that small businesses, particularly minority-owned small businesses, can do is if they have a mentor or a prime contractor that is probably also going through the same process. Can they get a lessons learned from them? Can they get mentorship? Can the IT staff help mentor that company into achieving level 1 compliance and moving towards level 3? Just our example, LBO Technology, we've been at this now for 10.5 months. So it's a pretty significant investment. And we're just now moving next weekend to what's called the government high side, the GCC high side. So, we're finally there. But if you haven't started, I suggest you start immediately and talk to your customer, talk to your prime, and start being prepared for this initiative.
Michelle?
Thank you, Caprice.
Same
The first thing that a small business needs to do, first of all, is identify who are the companies that are currently doing business with the Department of Defense. Who are the companies in the defense industrial base? And that's as simple as a Google search. Once you determine who those companies are, each of those companies, because they're multi-billion-dollar companies, will have a small business department, a cadre of people who are managers, because each of those companies will have small business goals and subcontracting goals that they will try to meet during a given fiscal year. Find out who those companies are, find out who the contacts are within those companies so that you can start to build a relationship, so that you can find out what contracts are coming down the pike, what the CMMC levels are that will be required for each of the subcontractors who may have the opportunity to work on those acquisitions, and make sure that you're continuing the dialogue so that your company can receive consideration for those contracts. Second, once you're in the mode of looking at an RFP and actually responding to an acquisition request, look at those CMMC clauses just to make sure that your company can meet the requirement. You don't want to invest a lot of time, energy, sweat equity in preparing a response to a proposal and then find out that you couldn't qualify because you didn't meet the basic CMMC levels. Each one of the prime contractors will have flow down language in their contracts, and that flow down language will specify to subcontractors what the cybersecurity requirements are that will be expected. Look at that information very carefully to make sure that you meet the minimum standards so that you won't have a disappointment and have spent a lot of money in vain.
I think those are great responses. One follow-up question I would ask you guys to address is, if I'm a business that's looking to get certified, what is the process? Can you talk a little about the actual process itself? And in terms of the CMMC AB, the marketplace, and et cetera. I'll throw that at Derrick first. How about that?
Okay, thank you. So the first thing you want to do is you go to the CMMC AB marketplace, and you want to look for a registered provider organization. And that's a company that's already been vetted by the CMMC, and they can get you started as far as preparing you for an actual assessment through a C3PAO. So first, yeah, they'll go through, they'll engage you, they'll say, okay, let's see your documentation, let's see your processes, let's map out your network, there's a bunch of activities that they'll need to do to get you ready. First, you'll want to look at your process as far as your hiring process. All that needs to be documented. And basically, that's the first step, just going to the marketplace and looking for someone that's already there. You probably want to check a couple of them. The prices may vary depending on, the scope of the work. And not all of them are the same, but again, it's recommended that you start there at the marketplace. Over.
Lynwood?
Don't have much to add there. That was very well said, Derrick. I would also caution companies to beware, because you want to make sure you hire a reputable person who knows the model, understands the model, and will get your network and framework to a point that is compliant. That's very critical.
You mentioned, touched on cost a little bit. I'm sure our audience is curious about that. Can you talk a little bit about the variances based on scope? Michelle, if you want to jump in there.
Yes, the cost for CMMC certification will vary by company based on the company size, the scope and scale of the contracts that the company is actually pursuing, and those kind of things. So it's not a neat number that can fit into a box. It will be different for every company. It'll be different for every effort. When you're looking at certification, some companies may have to purchase new hardware, new software. There may be an investment in staff that'll be involved. There's an investment if the company doesn't have policies and procedures that address cybersecurity, then the cost of actually writing those policies and procedures. So the cost will vary for every company based on its current configuration. So it's very hard to give a set number regarding what the specific cost will be for anyone.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to open it up for questions. We have a couple of poll questions we would like the audience to answer. But if you have any questions, this is a great time to ask our panelists. No questions? Okay, if not, I'm gonna turn it back over to Sheila, see if she had any she'd like to throw out at our panelists today.
I don't have any questions per se, but I do want to thank everybody for their time and their expertise for today's call. There is a poll. If you could take a couple of moments and fill that out, that would be great. We appreciate that. Hopefully we can see the results. Great. So the first question, if you're a subcontractor, has your prime discussed CMMC with you? So the results, 20% yet. Is it a little bit, well, a large percentage says no. So I think that this is a great reason to have a resource like today and to be able to connect with the Northern Virginia Black Chamber as well as our panelists so that they can further explain what it's going to take in this next season of growth for businesses to be competitive. If you have a government contract, will CMMC have an impact on your contract? Pretty even keel. So again, reach out to our panelists. They're the experts here. They've been in the industry for several years. Build your relationships. Again, that's one of the most important things that we've observed. And is your business preparing for CMMC? Have you identified a vendor to assist you in your business? So the majority of people say no, but that's okay. You need to get started today. The market is changing, the industry is changing, and it's going to be very important for the future of our growth for our economy so that we can help position our minority businesses for contracts to make a difference in the economy. So I would like to thank Mr. Lynwood, Michelle, and Derrick for their time and expertise today. And we're going to end the call a little bit early, but I'm going to give you like 30 seconds if you have any questions to please ask questions of our panelists. They're the experts here.
And if you guys had any other thoughts you wanted to share with the audience, feel free.
I'd like to share one thought because it's very interesting to me that when the question was asked about whether CMMC would impact a small business, it pretty much was a tie between yes and no. And I want small businesses to understand that the Department of Defense is normally the leader in acquisitions for the federal government. So even though CMMC directly impacts the Department of Defense, and there's a strict timeline out there for full implementation, they're rolling out CMMC to a certain segment of contracts in fiscal 21, which is ending literally today. They'll expect full implementation by fiscal 26. Where Department of Defense goes the rest of the federal government. So even though CMMC is not a requirement in your contract that may be a non-DoD contract today, that does not mean that you should not be preparing for a similar requirement in your non-DoD contract tomorrow. So it would behoove you to be looking at CMMC, the model, and the cybersecurity levels, because at some point in time in the future, especially in light of the executive order on improving the nation's cybersecurity, your prime may come to you, or your contracting officer may come to you and ask about the cybersecurity maturity of your company. And you may have to answer that question at that time. And it's better to be prepared than not when that question comes.
Lynwood, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I had the same, I guess, thought when I saw the 50-50 split that, yeah, just because your contracts are in the civilian space, please don't think you have to, that you're good. You don't have to adhere to CMMC. It's coming. If defense is doing it, they're the leading agency right now that's there. But the civilian world and even state and local jurisdictions are going to probably require that, at least at minimum, the NIST 800-171 compliance. So I would definitely urge you all to look at that and securing your networks. Just because you may have a small role as a subcontractor doing a part of a contract, you think maybe it's minimal, it still affects the supply chain. So our adversaries are attacking those small businesses that are supporting that. I think we just saw a stat there. We put up that 45% of the cyber attacks are occurring at small business levels. So it's imperative for you to look at that and to improve your cyber hygiene.
Yes, Derrick, do you have something to add?
Yes, small business, we know the impact is going to be serious. Things that they can do, make certain that they have antivirus software in their environment. Make certain that they have up-to-date software, their operating systems are being patched, make certain that they're just not using older equipment that's vulnerable. These may sound like small things like antivirus, but they really aren't. Federal government uses antiviruses on all their machines. So yeah, you want to have antivirus, and you just want to look at your surroundings, look at your network, make certain that you're not using default passwords. I mean, these are little things, but they will go into your SSP, the system security plan, once you're going after your level 1 or level 3. Change default passwords, have a process for how you do patching, whether, it's a small business, you may require you to have more than one laptop, one where you update and make certain everything's okay, and then you go to your main laptop and then you do your update there. I mean, they're minor things, but they could help, though they probably will help. Make certain that your network it's a home office, but are you operating a separate network from your Xbox and everything else that's in the house, for very small businesses. That's as simple as putting another router in place and just having it separate from the regular equipment that you have in the house. Yeah, so little things like that. You just want to start thinking more about security, because those are things that you're going to put into your plan, and those are things that you're going to need to document over.
Caprice, if I will, just like as Derrick said, minor things. Passwords. Don't use your name or things that are very easy. Make sure your passwords have uppercase and lowercase and have symbols, as well as numeric in your passwords. And also, if you use beta.sam.gov or GSA on the government side, you notice that they use a two-step authentication. So it's very important for you to have the same two-step authentication level, so that it makes it much harder for the adversaries to hack into your network. So those are small things that you can look at implementing right now just to be prepared for CMMC.
Great. Well, again, I just want to thank the team for being present today. Thank you, Lynwood, Michelle, Derrick, and Caprice. Next week, we are going to talk about cloud architecture, migration, and of course, cybersecurity. So we look forward to seeing everyone next week at 11, and take care and have a great week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.